All right, so we're diving deep today
Yeah.
into your English learning journey. We've got a whole stack of articles and research about setting goals and how to stay on track, and of course, how to keep yourself motivated, which I think we all struggle with.
It really is something that, these sources kind of hit on over and over. It's not just about what you do to learn English,
Yeah.
but like the approach, the way you think about it.
Absolutely. Like I was reading one article that mentioned this baking enthusiast, right? They couldn't get motivated to study.
But
They had this light bulb moment where they realized they can learn English through baking.
wow.
Like they started watching these English baking shows and learning all this specialized vocabulary, and suddenly it wasn't a chore anymore.
It's amazing like how powerful it can be to find that personal connection to your learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But okay, before we get to all the fun stuff, we got to lay the groundwork. And that starts with goals.
Wow.
Specifically,
Here we go.
SMART goals. I know, you've heard it before, but I think it's worth revisiting.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're talking specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But how do we actually apply this to something as big as learning a whole language?
Right. It can seem daunting.
Yes.
So think about it this way. Saying, I want to be fluent in English. It's kind of like saying, I want to travel the world. It's like, where do you even begin?
Right.
So a SMART goal, it helps you break that huge ambition down into...
With manageable steps.
Okay.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light here. So instead of just fluent, maybe your goal is something like, I want to be able to confidently order food at a restaurant in English within the next 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. So you're being specific about the situation.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself a time frame.
Huh?
You're making sure it's actually realistic and achievable for you. And it's relevant to why you want to learn English in the first place.
It all comes together. So here's a little challenge for everyone listening. Grab a notebook or, your phone, your favorite notes app, whatever
works.
Whatever works. And write down a couple SMART goals right now. What's one specific English skill you want to improve? And how can you make it? Measurable and time-bound.
And don't be afraid to start small, okay? Even something like learn 5 new travel phrases each week can make a huge difference.
Yeah, that sense of accomplishment is so important.
Exactly. It builds momentum,
Yeah.
keeps you going.
Which brings us to tracking progress.
Yeah.
It's like checking the map on your road trip to fluency. You got to see how far you've come, right? Make sure you're on the right path.
Yeah. But, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. Think about what works for you. Some people love apps like, Duolingo or Anki,
Mm-hmm.
and those are great for tracking, like very detailed progress.
Uh-huh.
But other people find journaling a lot more insightful. I mean, one article I read, it talked about this student who swore they weren't making any progress, but then they looked back at their language learning journal
Oh, wow.
and they saw how much their writing had improved.
Yeah, it's like tangible proof that you're on the right track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can be so motivating. Another thing you can try is setting benchmarks, like recording yourself speaking every month
Oh, I like that.
to hear how your pronunciation and fluency
Mhm.
are evolving over time.
It's like a before and after for your language skills. Speaking of which, we know motivation can be a little fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah, motivation can be tough, right?
It's a real struggle.
Like one minute you're all excited to study and the next you're like, ugh, maybe I'll just, organize my sock drawer instead.
It happens to the best of us, right?
The key is having those strategies to kind of bring it back
Yeah.
when you need it, So hit us with those motivation life hacks. What do we do when we hit those inevitable slumps?
Okay, so first of all, don't underestimate the power of little celebrations.
Oh, I like this.
Like, did you nail a tricky grammar point today? Did you have like a short conversation? Even if it's just ordering a coffee, those are wins.
So basically, every time I conjugate a verb correctly, I deserve a cookie. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Hey, if that works for you, go for it.
Right.
It's about finding those little rewards that make things fun.
I can definitely get on board with that.
But it's not just about the, external rewards. Sometimes the most powerful motivation, it comes from within.
Oh, you're talking about remembering your why.
Right.
Like, why are you even learning English in the first place?
Yeah.
Is it to, travel, connect with people from different cultures, advance your career?
Right. And really tap back into that deeper purpose. Like visualize yourself achieving those goals. Imagine yourself, giving a presentation confidently in English
Mm.
or having a conversation with someone you wouldn't be able to connect with otherwise. Like it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's like reminding yourself of the bigger picture. And then sometimes it's about finding those unexpected connections.
Oh, absolutely.
Like our baking enthusiasts
Yeah.
who realized they could combine their passion with their language learning.
It's about that fun factor, right?
Yeah.
If it feels like a chore,
Hmm.
you're less likely to stick with it.
Oh, yeah.
But when you find a way to connect it to something you actually enjoy, like whether it's music or movies or even baking, apparently,
Mm.
it becomes so much more natural and engaging.
It becomes part of your life.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about setting goals, tracking progress, staying motivated, but let's be real. Learning a language can be a pretty solitary endeavor.
Yeah, sometimes it can feel that way, but it doesn't have to be, right?
Okay, so how do we combat that?
Building a support system,
Yeah.
right? Having people who understand your goals and can cheer you on, it makes a world of difference.
Like a cheering squad for your language learning marathon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you build this awesome support system? Well, think about what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people really thrive in online communities, connecting with other learners from all over the world.
Yeah.
There's tons of forums and Facebook groups, language exchange apps.
It's amazing how many resources there are out there.
It really is.
One article even mentioned a learner who found like a WhatsApp group specifically for people studying English idioms. And they said like the shared sense of humor and
Yeah.
camaraderie, it was a huge motivator for them.
It's like having a virtual study buddy who gets your, nerdy language jokes.
Exactly. And then for those who prefer, face-to-face interaction, there are always language cafes or conversation groups.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, a lot of cities have meetups for language learners.
It's a chance to practice speaking in a more relaxed and supportive environment.
Definitely. And then there's the classic language exchange partner, right?
Oh, the tried and true.
Find someone who speaks English natively
Yeah.
and wants to learn your language
It's mutually beneficial.
so you can help each other practice and, learn about each other's cultures.
You can find those through apps and websites, or even just, strike up a conversation with someone.
You never know who might be interested.
Exactly. Okay,
Mhm.
so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got SMART goals, tracking progress, staying motivated, building a support system. But there's one more piece of the puzzle that I
Okay.
think is crucial, especially for something as challenging as learning a new language.
You're talking about mindset, aren't you?
Yes, it's not just about the strategies, it's about
Right.
how we approach the whole process.
Mindset, yeah.
I think. A lot of us fall into that trap of thinking, oh, some people are just natural language learners.
Right.
And some of us just aren't.
Right. And it's such a common
Yeah.
misconception.
Yeah.
And it can be really limiting, But the truth is, anyone can learn a language if they have the right approach and the right mindset.
Mindset is everything.
It really is. So
Yeah.
when we talk about a growth mindset, it's all about believing that your abilities can be developed through effort and dedication.
Right.
So instead of saying, ugh, am I terrible at grammar, it's more like, okay, grammar is a challenge, but I'm learning and improving every time I try. Yeah. It's like a small shift in the way you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
But it can make a huge difference
Yeah.
because you're focusing on, your potential for growth instead of your perceived limitations.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off, I think. Allows you to enjoy the process more.
Right. And speaking of enjoying the process, that's where immersion comes in. It's one thing to study grammar rules and vocabulary lists,
Right.
but to really master a language, you got to experience it in a more authentic and immersive way.
Okay, so how do we do that? Especially if we don't live in an English-speaking country.
Right. Well, you can start by incorporating English
Yeah.
into your everyday life. Little things like
Right.
changing the language settings on your phone
Oh, that's a good
or
one.
your social media.
Yeah.
Start reading English news articles, websites, books, even just like
Yeah.
little pockets of English throughout your day.
I love that. Pockets of English. And speaking of pockets, what about podcasts?
Oh, podcasts are amazing.
Yeah.
You can find topics that you're actually interested in. Listen at your own pace. A lot of them have transcripts too, so you can follow along.
It's true. And there's something about listening to real conversations that really helps you pick up on the natural rhythm of the language.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget about, movies and TV shows.
No, yes.
I mean, they're entertaining, but they also expose you to different accents,
Mm-hmm.
slang, cultural references. I mean,
Yeah.
It's all in there.
I've definitely learned some interesting phrases
Oh, yeah.
from watching British comedies.
The best.
Maybe I should add, watch more movies to my SMART goals list.
There you go. And don't just passively watch. Like, actively engage with it. Pause, rewind, look up words you don't know. Try repeating phrases out loud.
It's like having a built-in English tutor.
Exactly. And while we're on the topic of active engagement, we got to talk about
Yeah.
speaking practice.
Oh, yeah. Because it's one thing to understand English, but it's another to actually produce it.
Absolutely. It's like knowing the rules of basketball versus actually getting out there and playing the game.
Perfect analogy.
So, how do we get that speaking practice? Well, a language exchange partner is a fantastic way to do that.
So that's where you find someone who speaks English natively and they want to learn your language.
You can help each other out.
Yeah.
That's how
You can practice together. You learn about each other's cultures.
live when.
Tons of websites and apps connect language partners. You could even, strike up a conversation with someone at a coffee shop, bookstore.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah. You never know, right?
Exactly. And if, finding a partner feels intimidating, remember, you can always practice speaking with yourself.
Yeah. Now that might sound a little weird,
Yeah.
but it can actually be really helpful.
Really?
Yeah. Describe your day, practice giving a presentation, even just narrate what you're doing as you, cook dinner or whatever.
Like giving yourself a pep talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become.
So we've got immersion through media, active engagement, speaking practice. What's our final takeaway here? Remember that learning a language it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
There will be days when you feel like you're making amazing progress, and there will be days when you just feel stuck.
Yes.
But the key is to be patient with yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
Celebrate your achievements and never give up.
I love that. This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like I have so many new tools and strategies to tackle my own English learning journey.
That's what we like to hear. And remember, the most important thing is to find what works for you. Experiment with different methods. Be consistent. And most importantly, have fun with it.
Yes. Learning a new language. It's a gift you give yourself. It opens up new worlds, new connections, new possibilities. So embrace the challenge, have fun, and never stop learning.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into conquering your English learning journey. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring.
Yeah.
If you did, share it with your friends. Let us know what other topics you'd like us to explore. Until next time, happy learning, everyone.